Are you ready for chapter 2? It's called Lines of Thought and Diverging Ideas. The year is 2075. Two high school students stand at the podium, locked in an intense stare down. It's an awkward game of chicken, each daring the other to blink first before the debate begins. The auditorium is packed, the audience buzzing with anticipation. Everyone is eager to witness the showdown between their two most outspoken classmates. On the one side stands Titus Grant Sinclair, a confident and assertive 17-year-old raised by a determined single mother who fought tirelessly to give him a better life. On the other stands Melrose Knight, the youngest child in a blended family. Her father remarried after raising two children from a previous marriage, and Melrose, tenacious, fearless, and often called stubborn, has carved out a bright future of her own. She's already secured a scholarship for university next year. At center stage, Miss Isabel, the moderator, lays out the rules. Each debater will have 10 minutes to address the audience, present their arguments, and then dive into a high-intensity back and forth. Titus quickly does the math. A 10-minute speech gives him about 1,300 to 1,500 words to convince his peers that the formation of the United States of Earth, the U.S.E., was a colossal mistake for humanity. He hopes to speak first. With little faith in the attention spans of some of his classmates, he believes his best shot at swaying the crowd is to strike early, before they mentally check out or turn against his viewpoint. Melrose, on the other hand, prefers to go second. She's broken down her arguments into 4 clear points and plans to dismantle Titus's position piece by piece. Her strategy is aggressive. Counter his statements, expose their flaws, and paint his thinking as outdated and unsustainable. In her view, the U.S.E. represents progress, unity, and the only viable path forward for the planet and for this region. Both debaters are resolute in their beliefs, both have carefully crafted strategies, and neither is willing to back down. Let the battle begin. Chapter 3, Crossing the Line. 2 hours after the debate had begun, Titus and Melrose huddle in the corner of Miss Isabel's French classroom, hidden behind a desk. Gunfire cracks nearby. Explosions rumble through the walls. Men shout commands, their voices lost in the chaos. The eerie pop, pop, pop of gunshots echoes down the halls. The two students hold their breath. At any moment, someone could burst through the door. Just 2 hours earlier, they were on stage, passionately debating the future of the United States of Earth, arguing whether its creation had saved or doomed humanity. Now they're united in a fight for survival. This is no longer political. This is life and death. They've both known tragedy. They've both seen loss. But this is different. When it's on your own, on the line, everything shifts. Some freeze, some panic, others act. Their bitter academic rivalry suddenly feels laughable and insignificant. We can't stay here, Melrose whispers, scanning the room as chaos rages outside. Titus hesitates. I don't know. Where would we even go? We're safe here for now, so let's not make it worse. Melrose shoots him a look. That's so like you. Do nothing. Just wait for the end. Well, I'm not going to sit here and die. I'm not going to just watch the world fall apart. Before he can respond, she slips out the door and bolts down the hallway. Titus freezes, panic rising. What do I do? What should I do? Then something inside him shifts. For once, he doesn't overthink, he simply runs. Lights flicker, screams echo, and gunfire erupts in bursts. Students and staff scatter in all directions. He searches for Melrose but can't find her as he rounds the corner toward the gym. A hand grabs his arm and yanks him into the science lab, just in time. A group of soldiers charge past, and if not for that hand, they would have seen him. It's Miss Isabel. She puts a finger to her lips, urging silence. And behind the lab counter, 5 students crouch on their knees, including Melrose. She and Miss Isabel have been pulling students into the room one by one, trying to lead them to safety. Miss Isabel whispers urgently, "As soon as it's clear, we're heading out the emergency exit. We'll run to the field and then hide in the woods behind the school. I'm going to check one last time for anyone else in the hallway, so stay ready." The students nod, and the plan makes sense. The noise outside only grows louder. Miss Isabel moves toward the door, then it bursts open, and a soldier steps in, gun raised. "Run! Go! Now!" Miss Isabel shouts. And without hesitation, she lunges at the soldier, trying to wrestle the weapon away. 3 students sprint for the emergency exit, and Titus and Melrose don't move. Instead, they rush toward the struggle, instincts taking over. And whether the soldier is friend or foe, it doesn't matter. There's a gun in a school, and people they care about are in danger. Chapter 4. Lines of thought, lines of perspective. We go back to the debate 2 hours prior. The student debate is about to begin, and the room is filled with anticipation, as every person here has in some way lived through the consequences of the U.S.E's formation. This is not just an abstract discussion, it's a question that defines our present and will shape our future. Whether seen as a necessary step toward global stability or a forced assimilation of cultures and identities, the debate surrounding the U.S.E has sparked passionate arguments across generations. And that is exactly why we're here. Education at its core is meant to be a space for open dialogue, where even the most difficult and uncomfortable ideas can be examined. It is through mature discussion that we refine our perspectives, seek compromise, and discover better ways to shape our collective future. If we refuse to debate the choices that define our world, we risk stagnation instead of progress, and leaving us trapped in decisions made without the benefit of reflection, learning, or growth. Miss Isabel flips a coin and it lands on tails. Miss Knight, you have 10 minutes to state your argument. She begins. Fellow students and distinguished staff. The past 50 years have been a time of rapid change, high-speed technological advancements, and yes, turmoil. But turmoil and conflict are inherent to progress. They shape our evolving ideas, philosophies, and most importantly, our vision of who we strive to become. The hard truth is this: to ensure that democracy and freedom prevailed in an increasingly fractured and unstable world, decisive action was necessary. The world had become weakened by empty promises and inaction, plagued by an impotent global governance structure exemplified by the now defunct United Nations of the 2020s. Too much talk, not enough action. The so-called free world, a collection of loosely aligned democracies, focused more on discussion than on bold, decisive measures. Instead of defending the weak and empowering them to build strength, we relied on a subsidy model, where the strong perpetually paid for the weak. But the weak were never given the means or the responsibility to stand on their own. They remained dependent, always needing and demanding more from the protector states, whether in economic, political, or military support, or simply in basic aid. That model was never sustainable. Instead of teaching nations to fish, we built a system where we kept giving away fish without ever being properly compensated, without ensuring those receiving them learned to sustain themselves. We weren't running a system of empowerment, we were running a never-ending fish market. And that was never the plan that could last. The empty governance structures allowed the innocent and the weak to be at the mercy of the rogue states and leaders who decided to take whatever they wanted from those weaker nations. In 2025, the United States of America made a courageous choice to break from a stagnant and over-entitled world that expected the good old U.S.E to simply take care of everyone else. They couldn't or didn't defend themselves, yet they still expected America to shoulder their responsibilities. Once entitlement and unaccountability become the norm, once that becomes the way to do business, things need to change. A new world order was not only wanted, it was needed for the survival of our way of life. And yes, at times that meant volatility, even violence. But a reset, the Great Reset, was essential. A moment where true partnerships, strategic alignment, and the creation of a new globalized state and a state of mind to match now took shape. No longer would we accept a world loosely joined by inaction and superficial agreements. No more empty promises, no more empty actions. Let's pull out our 4 realities from back in 2025 and look at the direction they were heading. The economy, your ability to pay for your family's needs. Immigration, the right to move freely on our planet. Security, the right to live in safety. And humanity, the society we want to build for our children. And yes, the last 50 years have been tumultuous, to say the least. But ever since humans have existed, we've had conflict. We were simply blessed and likely fooled and romanticized by the 75 years of relative peace from 1950 to 2025. Our society became soft, entitled, and naive, believing humanity had turned a permanent corner. So, what was then and what is now? Number one, money. Money makes the world go round, and it can also make it stop. It can make the world do strange things. The economy was key. Back in 2025, the USA and the world were facing an energy crisis, a resource crisis. Nations were running out of natural resources. The USA needed to be fed by developing nations who hadn't yet optimized their lands and resources. Today, some of those same nations, under the governance of the U.S.E, now create and share that wealth across a broader population and land base. That's better. Why? Because it led to better working standards, corrected exploitative practices, and universally implemented stronger protections across the greater nation we now call the U.S.E. The creation of the U.S.E helped stop a system where other developed or underdeveloped nations undercut global economic structures through low standards and cheap labor. Back then, the threat of China loomed large. Everyone believed they were inevitably going to take over. Well, that didn't happen. Why? Because they could no longer get rich off the backs of the free world by simply flooding it with cheap goods. The U.S.E established global benchmarks and standards, and no more turning a blind eye. A real global economy needs real global rules. The same playing field for everyone. The U.S.E didn't officially exist in 2025, but the idea started. It was the beginning of an ecosystem that would allow for its birth. Tariffs, trade conflicts, and better synergy came next. And yes, those were the first shots fired. Some took offense, others saw the reason and joined the fray. For example, I say kudos to my father, who fought for the Republic of Alberta, an example of standing up for something. Accountability became the foundation of the New World Order. No more endless handouts, no more unchecked dependency. It was a time for the takers, the users, and the freeloaders of prosperity to step up finally and earn their place in the engine of success. The United States, once the backbone of the so-called free world, dared to build the next free world. A world no longer bound by empty promises, but by shared responsibility and a unified governance that demanded accountability from all. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the chapters. We'll see you next time.